Joining us now for more to break it all down, Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Congressman, great to see you. So common sense making a comeback. Your
Amen.
bill last week, the Women and Girls in Sports Act, passed in the House. 214 Democrats still voted against this. What happened to common sense in Washington?
Yeah, think about that for a second. Now, we did gain 2 Democrats, but every other Democrat in the House thinks that it's okay for a biological male to be in your daughter's locker room, to verse her on the volleyball court in women's volleyball, and all of those things that 80% of Americans, regardless of your political affiliation, doesn't think is appropriate in any level of sports for men to be in women's sports. It was a great victory. I'm happy to see that the president did a lot of this too through executive order, but we have to pass this bill so future administrations don't try to do the same garbage that Biden and his administration did. But I'm glad to see it move through the process. I'm looking forward to Senator Thune bringing it to the Senate floor after they get through the confirmation series.
Yeah, it's just, again, this is common sense legislation. Donald Trump in 4 days. Promises made, Congressman, promises kept. Trump making Obama, Biden, Bush look like guardians of the status quo. How unprecedented have the last 4 days been for you?
I've loved this. I've been in Congress 6 years. When I first got elected, Trump was in the White House, but we lost the House, so Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the House. So obviously it was impeachment, 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 Russia collusion hoax, all of that garbage that I had to deal with. And this is the first time that we have a true leader in the White House. We have a Republican Senate and we have a Republican House. And we have a mandate from the American people to do all of the things that President Trump is doing. And I'm excited to be in Washington to see what the future holds. I'm excited to just be a part of history and be a part of everything that President Trump is doing. And I hope that the House is going to come alongside him and pass all of these pieces of legislation that he wants us to get done in very short order.
Yeah, by the way, I don't know if you heard my monologue, but I played your dinger from the congressional baseball game a couple years ago. I added that to a long list of things that Democrats are, I don't like to call them losers, but they are certainly losing right now. They have been on the losing end of elections and just the general tide of where this country is going. I want to get your take on something that Donald Trump said earlier this afternoon about declassifying the assassination files that have been hidden from the public for the last 62 years on the assassination of President Kennedy. Let's listen.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Okay, so we've got a special guest lined up on this topic, but what can you tell us? Everything will be revealed means that I suppose everything's going to be revealed?
Everything's going to be declassified. How about this? An American president that wants transparency from our history. I mean, this has happened so long ago. Obviously, anything that was classified wouldn't be classified anymore. And presidents have kept this at bay and not declassified it. And on day 3, the full day 3 of President Trump's presidency, he's doing things that people and Americans have clamored for a very long time. And we finally have a president in the White House that believes in transparency from the government agencies to the American people. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that could be the biggest news of this administration. No matter what happens over the next 4 years, we're going to find out and pour through all of those documents when they're released. That's just, he's doing your words, promises made, promises kept. He's doing what he said he would do. A federal judge in Seattle today blocked President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. Where does this go from here?
Well, eventually it'll make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which thankfully we have a conservative majority on that court. And the thing about this is, and I haven't read the case, but let's play this out. You have illegals that are intentionally violating our law at the border to come into our country to have a child knowing that they would get citizenship. So you have the intention of thwarting federal law to allow for citizenship. And let me take this the next step farther, that I've worked on legislation to end chain migration in the United States. permanently, what then happens is that child gets citizenship by the fact that it was birthed in the United States. And then because of the chain migration laws of our country,
Right.
that child can then get every single one of its family members citizenship. So that initial parent who smuggled and illegally came into our country, who then had a child, then gets entry into our country through chain migration. So there's a lot of pieces that are going on here that are clearly violating federal law, violating the sovereignty of the United States.
Right.
And I'm very anxious to see what the conservative court thinks about this.
I am too. No other country on the planet in the West allows this. Just quickly, you're on the west coast of Florida, your district, Sarasota, that area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do the people in your district think of the Gulf of America?
We love it. I wish I'd have thought about it before President Trump. You know, if you look at the Gulf of America, you've got a lot of American states that border the Gulf of America,
Yeah.
and then you have Central America, and then you have South America that all border the soon-to-be-called Gulf of America. So
Yeah,
everybody in my district loves it. Now, the far-left progressives, it makes their head explode that we would be patriotic and rename the Gulf of Mexico to the
Right.
Gulf of America, which
Wait,
makes it even more fun to
Longboat
push it.
Key is your district, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a Gulf of Mexico way on Longboat Key. Do street names need to change too?
Oh, I think so. That's a good. Too bad that's not a federal thing, but maybe I need to reach out to
Yeah.
my local leaders and see if they'll get into that.
All right, Congressman, great to see you, Greg Stubbe. Thanks so much
Yeah,
for
you
being
too.
with us
Anytime.
tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you. Coming